She boarded the plane like she always did, calm, prepared, unnoticed. But this time, someone decided she didn't belong in the seat she paid for. What began as a quiet insult turned into a decision that would cost a company $600 million dollars and ignite a national conversation. This is the story of how one woman turned silence into power and bias into consequence. Simone Banner didn't like drama. She liked precision. She liked silence. Clean data. Direct decisions. She liked having a plan. That's how she'd built Banner Systems from a barely funded cloud startup into one of the most sought-after private tech firms on the West Coast. And on this particular Thursday morning, all she wanted was a quiet flight. She had boarded Flight 318 from San Francisco to Newark, as she always did, early, efficiently, dressed in charcoal gray slacks and a tailored blouse. Her dark curls pulled back. Seat 2A, a first-class aisle. Simone flew this route often, usually alone, always without attention. She was halfway through her boarding routine, laptop stowed, phone set to airplane mode, a folder open on her lap when a flight attendant approached with a thin-lipped smile and an odd tone. "Excuse me, ma'am, can I see your boarding pass?" Simone blinked, holding it out calmly. "It's 2A. The attendant stared at the pass, then at Simone, then back again. Something subtle shifted in the air. Not confusion, not policy. Something colder. "This must be a mistake," the attendant muttered. "Are you sure this is your seat?" Simone didn't react. She only said, "It's printed on the pass." After another pause, the woman nodded stiffly and walked away without apology, without explanation. Simone exhaled slowly, not with surprise, but with recognition. It should have ended there, but it didn't. 15 minutes later, as the doors were preparing to close, two uniformed security officers boarded the aircraft and walked straight to her seat. "Ma'am," one said gently, "we need you to come with us. There's been a report of a seat discrepancy." Passengers began whispering. Some reached for their phones. A businessman across the aisle frowned. Simone stayed still. "Is there a problem with my boarding pass? We just need to sort this out." "That's all," one officer said. "It'll only take a minute." Simone closed her folder, packed her laptop, stood without resistance. Her silence was her armor. Dignity was still hers. Outside the plane, they scanned her documents. The truth was immediate. "Your boarding pass is correct," the officer admitted. "Seems like a mix-up." "Seems like it," Simone replied. "You're cleared to reboard," he said, "but the flight crew has requested that you take the next one, to avoid disruption." Disruption. Simone looked at him calmly. Very well. She didn't protest. She didn't raise her voice or demand retribution. Instead, she sat quietly at gate 45B, opened her laptop again, and returned to the financial forecast she'd been studying. Banner Systems was set to acquire Avalon Dynamics, a fading East Coast tech giant with legacy patents and shrinking vision. It was a $600 million deal, months in the making, and the final negotiation was scheduled for the following morning. Avalon's board didn't know Simone personally. She had kept her role behind the curtain, appearing through legal proxies and delegated liaisons. On paper, she was just one of the final signatories. But now, as she sat in a plastic airport chair under sterile lights, Simone Banner made a decision that would ripple far beyond this terminal. She closed her laptop. She did not get on the flight. She went home. And that night, she wrote a single email. The next morning, Avalon Dynamics executives opened their inboxes to find a message that made coffee freeze mid-air, effective immediately. Banner Systems is withdrawing from the Avalon acquisition process. The deal is closed. There will be no further contact, no explanation, no negotiation, just finality. Within hours, their stock dropped 11%. Internal calls were chaotic. PR teams scrambled. Rumors flew. And then the story broke. A tweet, then a video clip. Then Simone's statement. "I was escorted off a plane, not because I violated a rule, not because I posed a threat, but because someone decided I didn't look like I belonged in the seat I paid for." That moment didn't cost me anything. But it cost someone else everything. Those 48 words set the internet on fire. Within 24 hours, the video of Simone being let off the plane had over 2 million views. Hashtags emerged. Voices spoke up, quiet professionals, overlooked leaders, passengers who had swallowed their anger on planes and in offices. Her words became more than a personal statement. They became a mirror. The airline issued a bland apology about protocol and miscommunication. Simone didn't respond. Avalon's board held a crisis meeting. But it was too late. Another firm swooped in with a smaller, humbling offer. They had no leverage, no pride left to negotiate with. Simone didn't speak to the media. She didn't file a lawsuit. She didn't name the flight attendant. She didn't need to, because her silence had already said everything. Weeks later, at a Women in Tech conference in Austin, a speaker mentioned the incident. She didn't fight for the seat. The woman said to a packed auditorium. She walked away, but she took the plane with her. The room erupted in applause. Simone wasn't there. She was back at her office, sipping her usual green tea, reviewing development timelines for a new AI infrastructure system. Her team had no idea about the flight, or the fallout, or the storm she had quietly walked through. She didn't need them to know, because it had never been about vengeance. It had always been about value, and knowing when to let silence speak louder than a headline.